Hello and happy midweek greetings from Radically Rational and radicallyrational.com. The toy department first. The Packers have released Rodgers. They did it yesterday. Well, not Aaron, Amari. That's the guy that has fumbled 4 punts for the Packers. You can fumble, you just can't do it here. You got to find something else to do for a living. Take care of the rock. Now, the other Rodgers, Aaron, said yesterday that all NFL games should be played on natural grass. While I don't necessarily disagree, if Rodgers thinks that's ever going to happen, he is smoking grass as opposed to playing football on it. A lot of concern in the Colts camp and a lot of concern from me because I love this guy, but Colts linebacker Shaq Leonard just underwent his second back surgery in the past 5 months. That is no bueno whatsoever. Okay, so Commanders coach Ron Rivera says he hadn't really made up his mind about what he's going to do when Carson Wentz recovers from his injured finger. Does he get his job back or does he stay with the young man? All I can say is pop the top on that Heineke, okay? Your offense looks way better with Taylor Heineke at the controls. And frankly, I suspect that's what Coach Rivera is going to do anyway. This is an interesting case. Broncos linebacker Aaron Patrick has filed a lawsuit against a series of defendants, and he's claiming their negligence resulted in his season-ending knee injury that he suffered in an October game against the Chargers at SoFi. Now, here's what happened apparently. He collided with a sideline television worker, and then he slipped on a mat that had been used to cover up some television cables. Torn left ACL, gone for the year. So he's pretty well coming after everybody, including the Chargers, the Rams, SoFi Stadium, and ESPN. And he claims rightly that he has been monetarily damaged because his contract says he will not be paid for any games that he misses due to injury. I take a look at this. I think he's got a pretty strong case. I will say this, that sideline negligence and sloppiness is a real problem at every level of football. There are a lot of people going to be keeping a really close eye on this case. Georgia, Ohio State, Michigan, and TCU in that order, I'm okay for now, for sure. Okay, now to the news side. As I was typing this morning at 5:05, the results of the paternity test came in. And yes, Ukraine is the daddy of the 2 missiles that struck Polish soil yesterday, resulting in the tragic death of 2 Polish citizens. Now, understand, Russia is still completely responsible for this, in the sense that Mr. Putin, since last February, has been waging a cruel, immoral, inhumane, and completely unjustified war against an innocent nation and its innocent citizenry. They're pouring missiles into Ukraine every day, and it's killing civilians, and it's killing a lot of kids. All right, so obviously these Ukrainian missiles were defensive in nature, and yes, it is most unfortunate that they crossed over into Polish territory, for sure. But wasn't it great to see NATO leaders in general, and yes, Joe Biden in particular, keep their cool yesterday? Because that scenario could have been a nightmare. This is what we've all been fearing since this war started back in February, that something like this would get out of hand, either on purpose or by accident, and everybody would get pulled into it. An international war, if not an all-out world war. But we kept our cool. Again, this is not letting Russia off the hook. And I'm anticipating that Putin is already lying, that he's going to say that Ukrainian forces deliberately sent those missiles into Poland in an attempt to draw NATO into the conflict. Mr. Putin is lying, and water is wet. And speaking of liars, the boy just can't help himself. There's Trump again last night. First of all, Mr. Trump, know this. No. Hell no. Don't even think about it. But even last night, he stayed in character. Every single thing he said, every data that he cited was a demonstrable, provable lie. A lie. Imagine that. Donald Trump lying. Hell no. Are you kidding me? Your presidency was a complete disaster, and that's an understatement. Your deliberate mismanagement of the pandemic and your dissemination of misinformation and disinformation and your blame game unquestionably resulted in the unnecessary loss of hundreds of thousands of American lives. And it's never your fault, is it? You gave aid and comfort to our enemies. You alienated our friends. You used your office exclusively for personal gain. Did you ever utter one sentence in 4 years in office that was aimed at uniting Americans instead of cleaving us further and pitting us against each other, all in your culture wars that are the key to every single thing you did? You fomented war among Americans. But that wasn't enough. You engaged in a premeditated, coordinated conspiracy to overthrow the government of the United States. You are personally responsible for the darkest internal day in American history, where you essentially sent armed American citizens to attack other citizens and defile our Capitol. And defile is a good word, because you defiled the office as no one else ever has previously. You were amoral. You have no standards whatsoever. You were not a bright man. You claim to love America, but you trash all of our institutions. You have stolen documents that may compromise our national security, and you want us to let you do this again? Just hell no. Just hell no. And again, last night, nothing but more lies. Go back, and I know some of you cringe when you hear the word fact checkers, but do you think they're not demonstrable facts? Go back and check every single thing he said last night. Lies. Damn lies. Mr. Trump, you are a special brand of ignorant, and you appeal only to the especially ignorant. Let me pick it up a little bit. That was one good-looking, big-ass rocket, and it was worth the wait. Somewhere, Eugene Cernan is smiling as we set the night on fire. Enjoy your Wednesday. We are radically rational.